I know that it doesn't care at all. Look at this base. Look at where the base ends. Bro, there is an entire horse. We're not grading the painting team that works at Games Workshop. We're grading the sculptors, right? Well, not grading the sculptors. That seems cruel, but you know what I mean. And then thinking about what you could do with it if you weren't, like, insane. Because obviously, I mean, you get a golden demon painter to do any of these, they're great, right? So I'm going to put him at good for now. And once I start filling out the table, I mean, he might drop down to old in the shows depending on what else happens here. His days might be numbered. He's got to be on his best behavior over here. Next up is the turtle. It's a double-decker, six-armed sea turtle. Completely beautiful. And it's a double-decker palanquin. If you can see here, maybe we can get the one where it spins around. There we go. It's a double-decker. And there's a dude with drums, like a battle barge on the back here. Let's put it this way. If it was just the turtle, we'd go up here somewhere. Probably glorious. However, this barge on his back, I'm not feeling it. It looks kind of goofy. The Howdah is the weak point in the model, to be sure. Is that why he's not godlike, or is that why he's not glorious? I'm not sure. Rules F, style A. Yeah, rules don't need to get into this. Rules are just going to muddy the water. I think I'm going to continue my trend of grading them as high as I think they could be. And then they might start falling down the more stuff we put in here for now. So we'll see. People say 10 out of 10, C to B, A tier, C and B. Okay. B does seem fair. Yeah, maybe B does seem fair. Should we just get it over with? Old and it shows B tier. Because if you put these right next to each other, I mean, come on. Ghoul King has no place even close to the sea turtle. Let's rip the band-aid off. Yeah, make the hard choices early. Yeah, I agree too. So now we have Alarielle. We have Alarielle the Everqueen. And once again... I probably have to keep saying this. We're not grading the rules. The rules are the derp zone. Or the rules are the copy-paste zone from last book. Like the Control-C, Control-V. We have a garage-sized stag beetle as a mount. That's completely awesome. And so creative for the nature-themed army. Like you have this giganto-sized, colossal stag beetle. And that's what your mount is. So excellent. Kind of looks like a battle tank. The thigh queen on top of it with interesting wings. Decent weapon. Pose is kind of strange. It's possible the strange face might just be a painting thing. Games Workshop just has a rough time doing female faces, in my opinion. They look strange. And so I would say that the idea of the beetle and how the beetle ended up S tier easy. Alarielle, B. So we compromise on A. It's glorious but not godlike. It doesn't crack the ceiling. There's still the glass ceiling up here. The wings are pretty stunning if painted right. That is true. Still one of the all-time like iconic models that like you see this and you're a new player, you don't know anything about this war game, and you're like, hold on, there's a thigh goddess of life riding a stag beetle into battle. Like I'm playing Sylvaneth now. Models like these just sell armies, you know. GW female faces are too androgynous. I don't know if they're not really, when I think androgynous, I think a lot of Japanese artwork and stuff. It's really neither male nor female. It's kind of a vacuum of both of those. I think they have very manly looks. Wide, square jaws, lots of shadows and stuff in their eyes, around their noses and cheeks and things like that. So here we have the Gargant. I chose this image for the Ale Guzzler Gargant. This is hard trash. If there was a lower tier than trash, he would be in it. Nice one, dude. Thanks for the big primer. Appreciate it. This Ale Guzzler Gargant, in fact, F tier is no longer called trash. It is called the Ale Guzzler Gargant tier. Like, we're renaming the tier. Because his name is what it means to be trash. He defines what trash is. Personally, I think Ale Guzzler Gargant is the dumbest model they currently sell. But there are some contenders. I'm not saying it's undisputed, but it is embarrassing that this was okayed and is still sold. We have the Arachnarok spider from Gloomspite Geats. They went very realistic with the spider. It is definitely old, but it is pretty good. This one, we got some differing opinions on this guy. I think it is old and it shows, especially with the people on the back. It very much shows that it's old, but it's better than that. It's better than Ghoul King on Royal Terrorgeist. I think I prefer the turtle. Both of them are held back by the things on their back. The turtle's getting special treatment here just because the turtle's newer and hence the sculpt's a little better. If we adjusted for inflation, you know, these would be on the same tier, but I don't think he is. I think this is a clerical error and this guy shouldn't have been in here. He's too small. He's not a centerpiece. He's really cool. His mount looks really cool. He's probably too busy if I had to critique him, but he's not a centerpiece. Get out of here. OBR has plenty of awesome centerpieces anyway, so... Anyway, moving on. Now we have Grand Marshal of the Apocalypse. Archaon, the Everchosen. With his three-headed mount, I can't remember what his mount is in the lore. No Slaanesh head, although there's an implied one on some models I've seen. He is huge in real life. Andrew when I used to live with him, painted one, and it is massive. It is a huge undertaking to paint this guy. Can we get a normal model? Yeah, here's a normal figure down there. Here's my hot take of the night. This is the most overrated centerpiece model. I think all the heads look stupid. The skulls impressed upon his body, I'm not a big fan of. And I want him to be more impressive in the scene. It's got pretty good movement, but I want Archaon to be more the star of the show here, and his mount is definitely completely stealing the show. And if you don't paint it perfectly, it is going to look pretty bad. Also, he's very fat and strange. His armor and shield are very cool, though. I like the sword, I like the horns, I like his cape and everything like that. This guy's a missed opportunity for me. He's a missed opportunity, but he's better than D tier. So what do you do? What do you do with something like this? He's just good. He's better than the spider, that's for damn sure. Just based on presence, you know. For me, he's C tier. And he is a missed opportunity because the prime mover of the entire plot of Age of Sigmar should be godlike by all rights. And yet, here he is in good, at the top of good. Oh, speaking of missed opportunities, here we have Teclis. And the hot takes continue. I think Vince mentioned on his show that Teclis is one of the most Marmite models in Age of Sigmar recently. Marmite model meaning people have very strong opinions about him both ways. There are people who really love this model, and there are people who really don't like the model. And few people are in between. Sphinx is A tier, Teclis is Ale Guzzler tier. Oh no. You love it, but even so, it's not that great. Yeah, this isn't I think how much you love something can be very independent of its quality. And that's probably true for life in general. The best is very different than your favorite, you know? Purple Thing, D or E tier, C tier, S plus tier. Okay, Marmite confirmed. We got a lot of opinions on Teclis. The Sphinx is gorgeous, looks really cool. I actually like the face mask she has. Wonderful wings, obviously. Good pose, nice movement with the tail, moving your eye back around towards the center of the frame. Because look at the directions everything's going. You know, all the things on the base, they're squiggling around, but they're all pointing your eye back. They paid attention to stuff like that. Teclis himself is trash. Is he really trash? Or is that just my guttural instinct? The T-pose with the arms up, he's just floating there. Teclis is the god of magic. Well, a god of magic. And so once again, just like Archaon, you have the main impressive, awesome-looking thing not being the guy that the thing is. The Sphinx looks awesome, the base looks awesome, but like it's supposed to be Teclis. That's what the model is. It's called Teclis. And he's just some guy that's the worst part of the model floating somewhere, and everything else looks cool, but he doesn't. Big missed opportunity, I would say. The art for Teclis is so sweet, and then we got yeah. He's rocking those hammer pants. Yeah, it's whack, man. Just go ahead and slap Katakros in S tier. I mean, yes. Alright, fair enough. Katakros, godlike. Moving on. No discussion needs to happen. It's just simply one of the best centerpieces they've ever made. In fact, it's a diorama. That's the base. He isn't arrogant enough, but someone who is arrogant enough is Katakros, who's probably tied for the most arrogant person in the Mortal Realms. He has his disapproving samurai man. This is like an oil painting from the Renaissance that tells a story. He's not even reading that scroll that the scroll bearer is giving him because his eye is on the horizon. So many different characters and places to look. The scroll bearer has no mouth because he has nothing he could say. Exactly, Katakros wouldn't ask him anything. With the spear and raven, definitely calls back to Odin a little bit. A little reference. Look at how all of his minions are very clearly serving exactly him. And then Teclis is just sort of standing next to the Sphinx. Yeah, the codpiece certainly brings it up to S tier. It might just be AA. Alright, and next we have the Archaon Ironclad. This thing actually looks sick. I know maybe not a lot of people agree with me, and this might be where we have to part ways. But I think this actually looks fantastic. So, I'm not the biggest fan of the balloons. I'm going to put that out there right now, because that's just me. Metallic balloons, it's weird, man. But on the big ships, it works much better than on the little troops and flying soldiers and stuff. They have that big face on the front, looks awesome, giant chain guns and stuff, a bunch of bombs. Glorious. It might be low glorious, but it's glorious. I could see someone playing Age of Sigmar and being like, this is too tech. This is too much tech. I don't like this in my Age of Sigmar, you know? I could see someone dropping it because they're not the biggest fan of the metal balloons. I could see this dropping for a few reasons depending on taste. This one is going to be a lot of opinion on this guy. There's a dude on the back painting it. Hold on. I gotta cite my source on this one. Alright, drag to spin. There is a dude hanging from the side and painting it. This is confirmed. Alright, top of A. That did it. We got there. That is S tier detail, yeah. So technically with this next one, these are the 3 Mortarchs. I didn't put all 3 of them on here. I'm not going to say that there aren't differences between all 3 of them. There are. We have Neferata, who also looks sweet. I actually really like what they did with that armor and the covered head of the thing. That's a wonderful touch. I think Neferata might be the best looking one of the 3. C+. It's just good. Next up, Alright, next up we have Fyreslayers, and I know that they're the underdogs here, because a lot of people say that all the Fyreslayers look the same, and they got no pants, they're wearing diapers, I've heard it all before, and that they have bilateral symmetry straight down the middle. All that stuff is true, however their centerpiece, Runefather on Magmadroth. A Magmadroth looks cool. The hero on the back, not the coolest. I like the attempt with the axe. It has a rune chimney on the back, that's sweet. The mount looks sweet. I think this thing looks great. Here's a controversial take. B-, bottom of B. If only the rest of Fyreslayers looked this cool. I don't think I have any problem saying that it looks better than Archaon. Alright, he's got 2 quarter-pounders. He is a mountain. He's got very elven-looking armor. This thing looks sick. Actually, this one looks better. I'm going to say it. The one-hammer version is superior. It has the face mask. Yeah, better face mask. It's got all the little bonsai trees all over it. Better horns. He did skip leg day, and that, he's going to lose some points there. And as such, he's very top-heavy. But he does look completely sick. This guy would be like right here if he just tried a little harder on that exercise routine. Bro, you can't skip leg day. You're dropping all the way down to bottom of excellent. And now we have a guy who no one has ever played in the world. I'm lying. I've seen it on the table. Aventis Firestrike. He's the Magister of Hammerhall. His rules are grade F, dog food and circus animal parts trash. So that was a missed opportunity. Let's talk about the good. Good wings. Nice tail, swirls around, looking pretty fresh there. Nice double cape. I appreciate it. His armor's like okay for a Stormcast. But man, that mount's face looks hyper dumb. And then it's just standing on just bricks. These are kind of boring. Does Aventis Firestrike look better than Teclis? No. Next up we have the bigs. Alright boys. I don't know that they have it. They might not have it on the website, actually. Maybe this guy's the coolest. Maybe this guy's the coolest. This guy is definitely not the coolest. So, what's good? They did not skip leg day. This guy is stupid looking, though. This guy's dumb. With his big flabby stomach, which looks stupid, and his awful face. They went sort of whimsy. They went a little whimsy with their giants on this one. They're all like skinny fat, like they have this strange obesity to them that's gross. Not in an aesthetically cool way like Great Unclean one, just sort of in a ugh kind of way. Oh, this one has a big beard. I appreciate that. Thinking just good. This could have been... This is like... They did pretty well, considering where they came from with the guzzler gargant. The worst sculpt ever. But I think they kept a little too much of the old stuff with the gargants. They needed to rip that band-aid off because so much of the old giants was so hyper dumb that they left too much of it in there. Are the gargants better than the spider? Yeah, that's easy. Are they better than Archaon? I'm not sure. I haven't seen them in person. I'm going to put them top of good because they probably contain a shitload of bits in there as well that you can mix and match and make them look extra cool. Black Coach. I mean, let's just get it over with. It's S tier easy. Look at this thing. Absolutely perfect. It is exactly what it needed to look like in every way. Look at that movement. Look at that amazing movement. This is... You're watching a movie and you just put it on pause while this thing was taking off. So excellent. Got the whip cracker with that scythe, the sword bearers there. I know that it doesn't care at all. Look at this base. Look at where the base ends. Bro, there is an entire horse off the edge of the base. It doesn't give a and it's over the edge on the other side as well. It's such a shame that you can't play it in the game. I wish they would have given it rules, but they just forgot. The man who came out with a model too soon. The Celestant Prime. Oh boy. He's a fat cube, dumb armor. He's got 6-sided dice for knee pads. His wings don't make any damn sense. Galmaraz is tiny and dumb looking. The swirly stuff just looks thick. Too thick. This looks weird and bad. If they would have made a Celestant Prime model when Sarcasync came out, we could have seen something really great. But this was... He looks like he is hanging rather than floating. I can't explain it, but it looks like he's on stage and they're just sort of holding a rope and hanging him there instead of him like flying and hovering. Nothing about this is any good. My day is ruined and my disappointment is immeasurable. This guy is in the derp zone. He looks derpy. This is a derpy model. I'm sorry he's in the derp zone. It's really too bad. I don't know why I put Chaos Sorcerer Lord on Manticore here, but it is trash. This thing is old and it shows, except also it's like bad. Next we have Chaos Warshrine. There should be an old and it shows for multiple tiers. I was thinking about that Leadfoot, but I decided that if something is old but it's still good, then it just goes in good. You don't have to give it any excuses, you know? If it's still good, if it's still excellent, even though it's old, then put it where it belongs. You sent me your custom Warshrine that has a Thundertusk carrying this thing on its back, but there's a reason you chose to put it on a Thundertusk, and that's because these guys right here are in the derp zone, and you had to break them out of the derp zone, and you did by putting it on a Thundertusk. These guys are some of the most derpy looking things in the game. The derp zone. Alright, it's a squig. It is large. Okay, that's it, huh? Just a big squig. I mean, squigs are supposed to be derpy, right? Like they're supposed to be. It is succeeding, but like it doesn't belong in good because it doesn't look good. So it's skipping these top 4, and we're just figuring out where to push it over here. Is it old and it shows? No, because Ghoul King on Royal Terrorgeist actually looks decent. He's just old and kind of and the guy on top is sort of a missed opportunity. This thing is a derp. It might be a missed opportunity. You're right, Thousand Death. I don't think this thing belongs with Aventis and Teclis, though. They shit on this guy. Even Ghoul King is way better than he is. I think he's in the derp zone for me. If I'm being honest, I put it in trash. Because it's just boring. It's just a circle. Being boring is worse than trying and failing, you know? And it's Forge World, and Forge World sucks. Alright, next up, Cygor. Let's see. He skipped leg day. Old and it shows or the derp zone. One of the two. Probably the derp zone. Here, we'll do the Gorgon right now. It's in old and it shows. I could see this guy almost being good. It depends on you as a person. You have to think how harshly you're going to grade stuff just because it's old. For me, I have no mercy. And so it's old and it shows. You might be more kind. You might be more benevolent. Now we have the Trog boss. These guys look great. Really creative. Fanciful. They have personality. Very fairy tale creatures, these are. Super long, interesting arms. Look at this very super comic book proportions going on here. They do look goofy. They are supposed to be goofy. That is their intent. Look at that little friend on his back. He has a little mushroom friend with a facial expression up here. Oh, that's cute. And then a little tiny mushroom friend down here with another facial expression. I would almost say that they're glorious. Because all of the strange complaints I could give, like the style is so strong that you're like, oh, well, that's the part of the style they were going for, and they just completely nailed it. So it's like, oh, it's too fairy tale for me. Well, that's what they were going for. I don't like the bulbous stomach and the leg day, but that's the style of the art. Oh, you know what? Now I'm looking at this tier here with the turtle and the Magmadroth. Magmadroth's bottom. Magmadroth is getting pushed down in the B tier here. I think this is how I would rate. Like, this is the kind of a troll that, like, Tony Dieter Lizzie or something would draw. Just wonderful. These guys sit in a similar place to KO for me, in that they might not be part of the Warhammer that you want. I don't want that kind of storybook stuff, you know, in my Age of Sigmar, just like someone could say I don't want this kind of technology with KO in my AoS. So, like, I understand that. And if you're not down the aesthetic, I can see it drop down to good or something, but you really do have to admire the artistry here and the attention to detail and all the little tiny things. Really quite nice. Anyway, now we have the Doomwheel. This thing is so iconic. It's just kind of flat. There isn't much. There is a lot of movement for when it probably got made. I like the flag. It is a bit 2D though. It's old and it shows. It's a great idea. If they made a new one, it'd be amazing looking, obviously. Would the Screaming Bell be a better centerpiece for the army? Absolutely, but the Screaming Bell is also on here. I didn't limit it to one per army. I just put all of them on there. Alright, Dread Saurian, who's not actually that expensive now that Teclis is 170. Don't at me in chat or anything, but this looks like a toy dinosaur, and it's about the same size as one. That's going to be the problem. It's such a hard problem to get around. When you're making a large T-Rex looking thing, you know, if you don't really go crazy with it, it's going to look like a toy dinosaur. And that's a problem. And this one does. It's got an Aztec, actually more of an Inca headdress on. And that's cool, but doesn't even come with a base because they don't even expect you to play them. You gotta eBay one. This thing is a missed opportunity. 100%. Hot Dragon, or wait, Hot Take, not Hot Dragon. Hot Dragon, you found my bookmarks. Anyway, hot take, Black Dragon is super good. Well, let's just see about that. I don't think there's any other place to put it but old and it shows, because it certainly does. It is more of a Serpentine style dragon, and much less of a Dungeons and Dragons, you know, thick fucking Chad dragon, right? That people have more and more started adopting. So it is a more classical looking dragon, and I appreciate that. It's a Nordic, yeah, like a Nordic style dragon. I actually like the rider on this. We can probably see a closer picture of it. Yeah, I actually like the rider on this. He has a nice shield, good imagery, nice spear. He looks very nice. The dragon has some key points of detail on its wrists and ankles. That's nice. Think about Games Workshop, right? And how excellent their models can look. And then say Games Workshop, make a dragon. I mean, don't make me go to Creature Caster, right? Like, the ceiling is real high on dragon for a model, you know? And this guy does not hit it. He does not hit it at all. He is old and it shows. He is better than a Gorgon, maybe. It is, yeah, you know, it is a Maleficent-esque dragon. Although I think the dragon from Maleficent was like really... was very round, and then it came up like a swan, I think, if I recall the old movie. Let's find out. Alright, it wasn't that round, but it was very wide, and then came up. Now we have Draicha. Draicha looks cool, but boobs are so unnecessary. Wrong. So, Bark and Beehive power armor is sweet. It's actually super interesting. I don't know that I've seen Beehive-style armor, or really that motif very much, when it comes to the forest people style things in wargames. You know, I'm thinking about like that creepy thing from Ninja Scroll, you know, where he had like bees in his body, but it's very rare to do stuff like that. Yeah, she probably triggers tryptophobia pretty badly. Probably not as bad as Fecula Narmaz and stuff, but still. And she's like the vengeance spirit. Bottom tier glorious, maybe top tier excellent. One of the two. Speaking of easily in A tier before we even need to talk about it, but let's just bring him up again, the Wave Chad. The absolute Wave Chad. His cape is the Great Wave of Kanagawa, you know, that famous painting. He has little sea friends all over the place. Pretty good pose. He's standing atop treasure. And if you see this little seahorse right here, can we zoom in and see the little sea friends? He's got this little seahorse, if you can see it, who is mimicking his pose. Standing in front of him like, I'll protect you, I'll copy you. And the other version of him looks pretty cool as well. The alternative, where he's got the Kusarigama. Really interesting weapon choices, very cool. I actually kind of like his helmet, to be honest. He has a Judge Dredd look. Is this not like Sea Elf Judge Dredd right here? 100%. I mean, he's got fish on his armor and it doesn't look dumb. Like, how can you do that? This guy is S tier easy. Engine of the Gods, which is about as close to a centerpiece as I could find for Seraphon besides the Dread Saurian. This thing is silly and fun. It's a Triceratops ridden by a bunch of other smaller dinosaurs with a slot machine on its back. It looks like a brass Stargate. Aztec, Incan, Olmec, Mayan, you know, they're just kind of pulling from everywhere. Better than the warshrine. It is definitely better than the warshrine. Pretty good looking dinosaur. This guy's good. Oh, this is the Flamespire Phoenix. Alright. Bruh. Okay. This is definitely not the most flattering picture. Let's get that one out of the way. From above, that's pretty good. Look at how the wings are on fire, even in the sculpt. As you can see, you're only seeing about half of the wings because they're on fire. That's a cool touch. It's got some amount of movement to it. The dude on top is just forming this harsh L. He doesn't flow with what your eye is trying to do with this thing. Yeah, it's old and it shows. I know. Yeah, it's just really old and it shows. I mean, they couldn't even fix this mold line for the picture right here on its shoulder. This is one of those old but might hold up sort of things. Look at how interesting this is. I didn't play Warhammer Fantasy, so I don't have any of this brain-numbing nostalgia that a lot of people seem to have that I interact with in the Age of Sigmar community. I didn't play Warhammer Fantasy. I didn't have almost anything to do with it, so people come to me and they're like, Gargants having jump up and down attack isn't dumb. That's from Fantasy. I'm like, well, okay. That probably was from Fantasy, but it's still dumb. You don't have to use the dumb stuff. You can just use the cool stuff, right? Coming into it as an Age of Sigmar person who never played Fantasy, this thing looks classic. It's old, but it is rocking it. Yeah, exactly. It's old, but it's got style. Look at this gentleman here. Plumes in his hat. Great armor on the griffin. Good face. The fact that it's also a tiger. That's sweet. Front claws are cool. So far, this is probably the oldest model that gets put the highest up. Because the fact that it looks old is part of its charm with this thing. And this is as someone who has no nostalgia for the faction at all. Very few models have a classic fantasy theme in AoS anymore. Yeah, I agree, and that's why this is even more impressive, perhaps. Alright, oh, we have a Frostlord on Stonehorn. Time to be completely objective. I'm a neutral party here. No special treatment. I was going to say looks worse, but look at this powerful stance here. Imposing. And he's got a bird on his arm. That's actually pretty cool. There's also the Beast Rider versions that look very different because they have two things on them. The fact that they have this chain hook, this thing is Kino as fuck. It's a pity that the rules are terrible and you always use the bird instead, but I like this maw thing up here. The fact that two of them are riding it. It completes the model. I don't like how he's working on his teeth here. I think that's dumb. I could see more movement in this thing. It's got a foot coming up, but I want more charging impression, you know. It paints a good silhouette, that's for sure, and I like the stuff on the back of it with the skulls. That looks very cool. Silhouette is excellent, but I just want a little more movement with it. The pose is nice, but it looks terrible in multiples. That is very true, J-Raps. I'm currently struggling with that. All my Stonehorn that I'm making currently, I'm like having to customize all of the ways they're running to make them look different. On stream, chat is dead. Ooh, I have to fix it then. It is not, yeah, I think it climbs all the way up to turtle and then it hits the wall. But it's excellent. There's no shame in that. It's excellent. Oh, this is Gordrak, the Fist of Gork, aka Megaboss on Maw Crusher. So this thing is too much of a cannonball. It is too much of a sphere. People call it a cabbage. They're not exactly wrong. It does look sweet, but as soon as someone calls it a cabbage, you can never unsee it again. You know what I mean? It has punch fists, and for a dragon that's cool. I actually like the scales on it. The fact that the orc is just riding on it like he would car surf fits the theme and the flavor of Iron Jaws perfectly. The various chains that he's chained up there too is pretty cool. His weapons look great. This was basically a mega boss. I actually like this thing on top. Really, we just have to decide how many points it loses for being a circle. The thing is a circle. The silhouette for this thing is awful. Let's spin him around. Can I spin him around? Maybe the silhouette is better from a different angle. Back looks kind of weird. It did skip leg day. He's just like an entire fist. It is one big fist. Each of the ideas they had were all pretty nice, but it just didn't quite come together. This is a missed opportunity for me. Is it cooler than Dread Saurian? Hell yes. Hell yes it is. That's easy. Is it cooler than Aventis Firestrike? Yes. Is it cooler than the good parts about Teclis? Probably not. When you think Megaboss riding dragon, you definitely don't think a classroom globe. Next one is the king of skipping leg day. That is correct. It is the Gothazar Harvester. This one, it's going to be a tale of two cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Top half of model, A tier. Bottom half of model, D tier. What do you do? What do you do with it? Morningstar punch fists. That's fucking sweet. Cool face. Nice little banner on it. Crows everywhere. He's filled with tinier men. He's got an entire dump truck of bones to collect for the Lord back there, and a bird just taking off. He's got the karate chop tail, but then he's got the tiniest little tiny legs, which kind of ruins it. And don't get me started on this dude. Dude, Cockman here is a concern. I don't know what's going on with this guy. Why is it here? Who thought of it? Who okayed it? It's so whack. It's weird. Hey, I like Kingdom Death as much as the next guy, but if you're gonna have a codpiece man, make it way crazier than this, you know? He's the pilot. Yeah, he's in the cockpit. Get it? Yep. There's a lot about this model that's in the derp zone. And then there's a lot about this model that's excellent. And there's even some, like, really quite nice A-tier stuff going on, like throwing the Stormcast helmet away and fighting with the bird for the thing, right? There's a lot of cool details like that. So this guy's all over the place. He's so inconsistent. I feel like by definition, missed opportunity for missing the mark. Yeah, fair enough. This guy's a missed opportunity. Is he better than Dread Saurian? Yes. Is he better than this guy? Yes. Is he better than Maw Crusher? I don't know. I think that's where he falls. He falls somewhere in the missed opportunity. I could see him being good. I'll take 2 screenshots when I make the video. And then say you decide at the bottom for the stream highlights. So this is such an improvement from the old one. It is absolutely disgusting in a great way. The horns feel odd, but I really like them. Good movement with the chains. Look at these fantastic little, and this is common for Nurgle sculpts. He is the bottom of F tier for you because you hate all the Nurgle aesthetics. Yeah, the Nurgle aesthetics are not my jam. I'm not really a fan, but I can tell what artistry went into it. Look at how badass this dude's sword is, by the way. This thing succeeds in every way that it needed to succeed, I think. Can we spin it? Can we give it a spin? Ooh. I might get demonetized here if we spin it too slowly. I don't like the Nurgle aesthetic very much, but I gotta hand it to him at doing it perfectly. I became revolted when I spun this model around. And it's got all these little Nurglings doing really interesting, cute little things. The attention to detail is so great. Beautifully disgusting. Top of A. I don't actually know how large this model is, but I consider it somewhat of a centerpiece because clearly the amount of work they put into it is intending for it to be. We have the little Nurgling squiggling around on there. The crazy, screaming, horrifying... Oh, he's got 3 eyes. I never noticed that before. There's a little shop of horrors right there. He's got spirals. Reminds me of Ito a little bit. A little Junji Ito. Tilling the fields. The tree even, look at how Nightmare Before Christmas this tree is, stylistically. I wonder if this thing's face is actually like the person turning into the, when they started turning into slugs and stuff towards the end of the story. If anyone's familiar with horror manga from the late 90s. This guy's bottom of S tier, but he contains an asterisk. You might hate it. It might be too horrifying and strange. Total unrestrained creativity with this thing, and it hardly even fits in the game. This guy's in S tier on technicality. He's like in a category of himself. They let a sculptor do whatever he wanted, and he probably went too creative and too reference-filled and stylistic clashing all over the place, but I have to put it there on principle. All right, Ogre tribes. Thundertusk, Beast Riders, and/or Huskard, and/or Frostlord. I don't think it looks better than a Stonehorn. This is rough because I just looked at the most recent Creature Caster stuff that does, like, play this as your Tzeentch thing, and it's so much better than this thing that this thing looks embarrassing next to it. But I have to, like, judge it based on itself and not based on some other company's version of it. I gotta go with what's in my heart. It's a missed opportunity. A Greater Demon of Tzeentch should look absolutely insane and amazing, and this thing doesn't. It's a walking Birdman. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed at all. That's my harsh criticism of the Lord of Change. Send the Change fire again. So after my controversial choice with this Lord of Change chat, where would you put it? And you can consider Kairos Fate Weaver as well. That's also fine. C+, B-, mid A, missed opportunity, a decent C. Kairos is a lot better than the base, above Teclis and maybe bottom of C. Okay. Way cooler staff with an open book. And 2 heads now. Yeah. This is much improved. He's going easily top of good, probably better than Thundertusk. Probably stronger than Fireslayer. And this guy just keeps... The Auric Runefather on Magmadroth just keeps tumbling down the stairs of excellent, doesn't he? We've come to a consensus here. We reached across the aisle, you know. Keeper Secrets, easy A. S or super high A. B tier has some problems, but it's A. I'm feeling B. Okay. It's rather tame compared to other Slaanesh models. That is my criticism as well. But Slaanesh doesn't have to be shock value. It's also unnerving regalness. I'm getting a lot of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure vibes from this thing. My most damning criticism, so like, okay, the face is kind of weird, you could say that, but the most damning critique I can lay upon the Keeper of Secrets is that it feels restrained, and that is not okay for Slaanesh. Strange, royal, catwalking through the battlefield, ripping people in half with those things. The androgyny is like, they reasonably succeeded at it, I suppose. Splitting it down the middle, sort of a basic idea, so I'm not like in love with that. I think that's like the first thought, is like, oh, we'll have half of them be feminine and half be masculine, but I feel like there was a more advanced concept they could have gone for. Man, this cape is so good. Isn't this cape so good? It's probably impossible to repose with that cape, though. That's the downside to that amazing cape. Man, it's going waist forward. It has taken acting lessons. It learned that a character that's all about their lust walks waist forward. The vertical split was a big thing for them for decades, yeah. So it's being held back by its past a little bit. I think it's not S tier. It should have been, but it's not quite there. It's in middle glorious somewhere. Charybdis? Why did I put this in here? Is this a meme? Was I memeing when I made this thing? Relic Broodlore. Thanks for the big primer, dude. Appreciate the support. As we're closing in on this tier. Maybe it's not even a centerpiece. I'm unsure. But it's just like old in the shows. Is it better than Flamespire Phoenix? I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure. Who cares? Moving on. Boring. She's too small. And I said that out loud exactly at the same time that I read Iron Guts Man say it. And he's right. She's too small. I think she looks quite nice. The handmaidens don't. They're the weak parts of this, as is her staff. Yeah, it does have a subtle face carved into it. You can't see it in the spin version, but you can in this one. It has a skull in it that you can just barely see lightly. That's cool as well. I would put her in good somewhere. Mangler Squig is the best model in Age of Sigmar. Change your mind. I can't because it's correct. The greatest silhouette in all of Age of Sigmar. The implied movement with this silhouette is so amazing. Look at this. I mean, it's a photograph in time. There's so much movement and hilarity in there. And the frowny mushrooms and the guys running away from it. Just barely holding on with this guy on the side here. Flying off of it. Chains hooked onto him. The squigs are completely dumb. And I can't believe anything could make them look cool. And they've done it. So not only did they take something like a dragon, which is already sweet, and then make it look good. They took something that's legitimately stupid, which is a squig, and they knocked it out of the park home run. So they overcame adversity to get to where they are, even. Just amazing that they could do this with such a stupid starting point. And so it's godlike. It's simply top of S tier. It's even better than Black Coach, in my opinion. Okay, so we're getting another slam dunk, except it is the opposite slam dunk. This is Lord Celestant on Stardrake. This dragon is kind of like holding on the bicycle handles that are just sort of nothing on the base. It's sort of weird and fat looking. The armor looks goofy. The face looks dumb. The rider on the back, you can't even see what's you can't even see what's going on with him because his armor is so fat. This is, I'm sorry to say it, we're in the derp zone. Better than a meatball, that's for damn sure, right? Because at least it kind of looks like a dragon, but it is in the derp zone. Next up, we have Vermin Lord, all of them. This one has big curly horns, looks really cool. Halfway between demonic and everything. Definitely skip leg day, but they're supposed to, because they're big rats. Probably dead center for me, solid A. They're what Skaven wish they really looked like. Now we have Morathi. Hot take coming through. Humanoid Morathi, the derp zone. Actually terrible. Look at those lats. Look at those latissimus dorside muscles. The back musculature going with the wings. The serpent's coil around the statue. Great pose. These spikes moving in the direction where she's going. There's movement. She's got snakes in her hair. Actually excellent. And she's basically a Gorgon, which is pretty well traveled territory. So to stand out amongst that, pretty good. You think you should go off the serpent because it is the centerpiece of the army? That's fair. Because she's going to turn into the serpent. That's the centerpiece. This thing is just like a game thing. Then she's easily in the godlike tier. Man, this thing probably came out right after Lord of the Rings hit theaters. And it was probably so sick. And it probably sold so well because of it. It is old and it shows. So here we have Nagash. If there was a category for most improved since the last sculpt, boy would this guy be on it. He really does look like he's kind of being held aloft by these swirling energies, which are looking pretty cool there. I like all the backbones, fanning out behind him. The Pope hat, you could take it or leave it. His book is pretty nice. The sword's pretty nice. Oh yeah, sword version slaps. The sword version is better than the staff version, I would say. He tied in all of his themes he needed to in the model. He's kind of up there with the other gods, isn't he? Okay, next is Orgoth's Daemon Spew, or is it... No one ever plays these. I'm trying to remember the other two. I'm going to look at chat now. Nobody else has said it. All right. I've been pretty good with names for all of these different army. Blowab Rotspawned. How could I forget? How could I forget Blowab Rotspawned? Is this the derp zone? Is this the definition of what the derp zone is? Creature that has no face that's just vomiting? Yep, they're in the derp zone. This is the Rogue Idol. You might say that it looks like someone took a bunch of styrofoam, cut it out, glued it all together, and then put some grass on it, and completely failed to do the glowing eye effect. And you would be right on all counts. How much does styrofoam cost? It is $112, actually. Let's check it out with no paint. Oh, and you could put a fence on, on its face if you wanted. Nice, dude. No, sir. Like, they shouldn't sell this thing. I'm thinking F. In fact, the Sorcerer Lord on Manticore is at least the attempt at a Chaos Sorcerer riding some sort of scary monster. An attempt was made. This is rocks. It's a bunch of rocks. This is actually one of the newest sculpts in all of Seraphon, I believe. It is a dinosaur riding a dinosaur. And it's probably the best version of a dinosaur riding a dinosaur available right now. This looks like what it should look like. It is a bit old. It's got decent movement. His chair looks sort of strange. I feel like his chair is maybe a little too big on its back or something like that. This is completely fine, but not like terribly impressive. It's somewhere in good. You did what you were supposed to. You're good. So here's the Screaming Bell. I mean, this came from another time, but it was a time where they were still very creative. Look at this movement. Excellent movement. He's surfing on the thing. Great implied effort. He's really pulling it down. When this thing came out, it was probably S tier. But it only works from one direction. It catches your eye. It's amazing right away, but it's a bit hollow once you... It's not as cool as a Stonehorn. Yeah, this thing is like a sketch. That's a perfect sketch, but then, I feel like it's not fleshed out after that. It is a bunch of dumb-looking animals with dumb-looking people riding it, pulling farming equipment with whips. This thing is hella stupid. Probably better than a sphere with no characteristics at all. It's simultaneously way too busy and yet boring. That's a no from me, dog. This is a Chaos Dwarf model. He looks pretty sweet. I mean, it's a big, like, boss monster looking dude. He is a bull, and so that's a fairly realistic bull looking centaur thing. I get that he's a dwarf kind of, because he is sort of short for being or the proportions at least. It's a good enough sculpt. It's just like solid, somewhere in the middle tier good. He's the bloodthirster that looks cool but sucks. Timmy Trap, Scarbrand, that's it. The guy who they wrote a reason into his lore why he can never be good, which is that his wings are broken, he can never have the fly keyword, so he'll always be bad, but boy does he chop him up when he gets to him. What is a Timmy Trap? A Timmy Trap is, half-jokingly, the psychographic profile for magic. One of them is Timmy, and Timmy likes big stuff, and doesn't care so much how good it is, necessarily. And so a Timmy Trap is something that looks huge and exciting, and you look at the damage number on the war scroll and you're like, this does 6 damage a hit? That's so sweet, but you never like look left a little bit and you're like, oh, it's got 2 attacks on 4s and 3s, so it's gonna miss all the time. Like you don't go that far. That's like the Timmy Trap, is what you would say. Hellpit Abomination is a Timmy Trap, and Durthu is a Timmy Trap, and things that are like gigantic or have large effects, big swingy effects, but like at the end of the day they're actually not that good. So like half this list, yes, exactly. Very much. Good forward movement here. His double axes look cool. The wings are actually kind of sweet. Probably annoying to paint maybe, but yeah, he just looks powerful, like a powerful-ass bloodthirsting demon. This is what a bloodthirster should look like. Oh, some of these are chains too? That's sick, actually. That's metal. That's metal. Yeah, this dude looks great. He looks excellent. Like low-tier excellent, I would say. Yeah, Slaughter Queen on Cauldron of Blood. There's some excellent details here. But the truck that they're on is so stupid. Thing looks like it's carrying a pumpkin to midnight, you know what I mean? Like, it just looks goofy. This might be derp, but I like the guy statue here. It's just this truck is so weird. Everything else is really cool, but like the weird vehicle. Yeah, it's old and it shows, but it has a lot of great details in it. I might actually like the Tree Lord Ancient more. He's got a better silhouette by far. The worm on the base is dope. They do have little... Oh, yeah, you're right. Look at him. Look at his face. He has like the shocked Pikachu face on. Oh, that's right. They have little forest friends. Look at this bug. And then here's a little seahorse thing, except in real life. And then a little friendly owl. Okay, you're getting... This one's getting points for the friends that he's got. Very cute. I mean, it's got a lot of work to do to get to even B for me, but I think it's C. But I have to say, I expected more for a Trent. Steam tank. Do these count? How small are these things? Alright, so here's a steam tank. Technically, it's kind of a centerpiece, maybe. So, like, Neo-Victorian era smoke and metal style. It's definitely not a style I'm interested in at all. But it's either old and it shows, or it's in the derp zone, and for me personally... Shit is in the derp zone. Now we have Thanquol and Bone Ripper. So this does look monstrous and hideous. It's supposed to. This looks pretty cool, but it is just a bunch of lumpy flesh. The other stuff, like the weapon arms and things, are the interesting parts, but everything holding it together, it feels like everything holding it together is just kind of there, aesthetically. Is he old and it shows, or is he just good? I think he's good. I don't know that I would put him in excellent, but he's good. Big. This is big. How can you be so A tier and yet so derpy at the same time? He's flickering like an electron back and forth between derp and excellent. I don't know what to do with this thing. It is just a bunch of stuff. Hey, let's be controversial. I'll just put him at the top of excellent. He's the guardian of excellent. And then I'll revisit it in our theme at the end. Alright. Now we have the normal bloodthirsters. Hot takes coming through. These are some of the worst Balrog style models ever. How you can fail such an easy concept is unbelievable to me. Making a badass looking Balrog style demon is so common across the internet and companies, and here you have these tap dancing, awful silhouette, upside down triangle looking, standing on one tippy toe goofballs. Look at this guy. Look at his holding pattern. He's like it's like he's putting on a backpack. And the stuff is just it's totally disconnected. Look at this hammer. His arm is like this, right? And this thing is spinning behind him on both of the edges. Like I don't see how the movement of it is supposed to go. His face is dumb. The fire connecting it to the base is way too obvious here. Missed opportunities. It is the bottom of missed opportunities. And if I'm going to be especially honest, it's in the derp zone because they somehow made it look derpy, but it's still it's a missed opportunity. It should have just been the same kit as Scarbrand, exactly, Panda. So here's Troggoth Hag. Troll in the swamp that eats children, kinda. Looks really stupid, of course. But it's new enough that they put a... they put a little Stormcast next to it. See, look, she's recent. It's just kind of like horribly stupid and doesn't fit with anything's aesthetics. And is gross in a bad way. Like Guo is gross done perfectly, and she's gross done by just being bad. Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, it's the same thing as Terrorgeist, except it has a cooler face that doesn't look like a stupid bat as much. And the vampire on the back has armor and a shield and a lance and stuff, which is way cooler than the Ghoul King. So he's just like, he is the Ghoul King, only strictly better in every single way. You have opinions, it's a dragon without arms. That's why it's D tier. That's why we're in the D zone. Speaking of the D zone, we have Skorgoroth the something something, who is also riding the something something. Cannot remember his paragraph of names. Hold on, chat. Ahem. Vorgoroth the Scarred and Skalok the Skullhost of Khorne. I have seen this in person. Let's address the elephant in the room. This dragon is so overweight and old that it is using this pillar as a cane to lean on. This thing is, so like, let's go back for a second. Do you remember that I rated the Glotkin relatively low in the excellent tier? Look, it's just big. That's it. That's the Khorne dragon. It's huge, but the pose is dumb. It's got good detail, obviously, because it's big enough to have detail. The face is sweet. Good face. Nice one. This chair on the back is dumb. And this guy, look at this guy. Is this the face of S tier? Is this the face of A tier or B? This is $610. Missed opportunity. The amount of development time it took to make this thing had to come from somewhere. And that somewhere else should have gone there. Alright, let's review. Let's review these tiers and see if anything doesn't make any sense. You missed the joy that was the Teclis conversation. It's the top tier of missed opportunity. I mean, there it is. There it is. These guys, which you might not like the aesthetic, but they captured it perfectly. I think we're down with excellent for that. Frostlord on a Stonehorn. Yeah, all this stuff pretty much belongs here. Alright. Alright. Let's pull the trigger on that one. Archaon was definitely a missed opportunity, in my opinion. Yeah, Spider at the bottom of good. Could be old and it shows. Like, I would accept that, but I think it still kind of holds its own weight. Thankful's probably a little lower, maybe. And then we got old and it shows for this stuff. That's definitely true for all those. Missed opportunities. We don't have, like, a terribly large amount of missed opportunities, although there were some others in the derp zone. F tier, Ale Guzzler Gargant tier of just embarrassing stuff. Alright, ship it. This is it. This is the definitive AoS centerpiece tier list maker. We got it.